Hi everyone, it's December 13th, 2018, and I'd like to introduce you to my new language, Sikwenchu. It's a constructed language designed, and it's designed to be the new universal language. I call it a breakthrough for a reason, and I'll show you why in a few minutes. First of all, I'm Mark Gregory. I'm the author of this, and this is actually my new softcover book that I've just put out on Amazon. Let's see, you can see it right here. If you just type in Sikwenchu into Amazon, you can find it. All right, so what's interesting about Sikwenchu is that uh, not only is this my second language that I've attempted to write, the first one I had simplified the grammar greatly. This particular one I've gone much further by organizing words in categories and through the encoding of them as well to make it much easier to remember a vast amount of vocabulary, because that's what you need to have effective communication. I have this objective to essentially change the way language can be communicated, because instead of spending say 4, 7, 10 years studying a foreign language, whether it's English, French, Spanish, Japanese, Chinese, whatever, this is designed to get you speaking within 4 to 7, okay, wait for it, weeks. Yeah, I'm not kidding. 4 to 7 weeks to begin strong conversational skills in Sikwenchu. And the reason being is because I've spent about 5, 6 years designing it that way. My ultimate goal was to make it as simple as possible, and that's exactly what I've done. First time I wasn't able to do it. This time I've been able to do it. And so the reality is, uh, in the world, there might be about 1 billion people who actually speak English, which is pretty good. But that also means there's about 6.5 billion people that I can't speak with because they don't speak English. And that's about 80% of the population or somewhere in there. And so my real objective was to find a way to make it easier for all of us to be able to communicate with each other in a very short period of time, because it's kind of impossible to go from one language to another language to another language, especially if you're trying to do years and years of study. And for those of you who've come from my YouTube channel, Sci-Fi Animator, you might recognize this 3D image, which is from my 3D renderings, and I intend to build a complete Sikwenchu 3D world that will have all the vocabulary and everything within it to navigate. And so that's a little bit of what that's about. But let's take a quick look at just a bit of what Sikwenchu is all about. Really, my hope is that if you're looking at this from my Sci-Fi Animator channel, maybe you know somebody who's into foreign languages and you could point them to this, because for those of us who love foreign languages, yeah, it's a pretty cool thing. All right, so let's see, where is this? Okay, I have this open. Okay, so this is part of the book. And this kind of gives you an idea. One of the key things about the language is that there's no direct verb conjugation. That's one of the complications. For those of you who've studied French, Spanish, German, Italian, things like that, you know how much work it is to try and memorize all the differences in the changing of the verbs. It's just a nightmare. Oh, and then not only that, the plurals and masculine and feminine. Well, I don't use any of that in here. So what I use is tense markers. So you don't directly conjugate the verb. So to give you an idea, the verb in Sikwenchu for to go is chu. And the reason it's chu is actually in Chinese, there's a very similar verb called chu. All right. So instead, here to say she will go, I just prepend, I put me in front of chu. So me is the tense marker for the future tense. So, and sa is she. So she will go. But chu never changes form. Like, unlike in English, it'd be go, went, gone, has gone, etc. And here I use this other tense marker D, which is the simple past tense. So sadichu is she went, samichu is she will go, and then you phrase your questions in the same form to do the answer. Is like sadichu, did she go? There's even another one, V. V is like, you can remember it as like have. So you could say sa vichu was has she gone. All right, so I used this approach all throughout, and the beauty of it is that when you do this, the only thing you end up having to do is change verb. So let's say if I said sadichu she went, but I tell you the verb for to study is shue. It is actually shue, shwe. It's a kind of derived from Chinese. All right, so but then I could say sadi shue means she studied, right? Or sadi if I say Sami Shwed, be will she study. So you never change the verb, and there's no intermediate changes to anything. So it greatly simplifies the grammar of the language. And the grammar part, which is in this particular book that I've just released, and the second one I'm working on already, but this particular one is Essential Grammar. It's designed to be learned in about 3 to 4 weeks. That's it. And it covers a great deal of the grammar. So you can say already within the 8 weeks or so that it's taken me to write the first 2 volumes, and I'm almost done with the second volume, I can actually express myself far greater now in Sikwenchu than I can do in the 4 other languages that I attempt to speak: French, Spanish, Japanese, and Chinese. And I've been studying those on and off for years, right? So it really was a way, well, how do we make it easy for everybody? And this is exactly what it does. All right, so let me give you another idea. In the book, go to page 28. This is the other way is I categorize things. And I categorize and organize nouns by sequences of sounds and patterns and all kinds of things. And this is one in particular. And this is only one. And what it does, it allows me to cut down the amount of things that you have to memorize from, say, some disparate word off in space of thousands of words to categories. So you remember the category word, and then you can logically get to the next word. Now, this is kind of a simple one at the beginning. So this is things that are associated with frequency of occurrence: always, usually, sometimes, rarely, and never. It's fairly well categorized. At the top is always, at the bottom is never, in the middle is sometimes, then here's usually and rarely in between. And all I'm using are the basic vowel sounds that start off within Sikwenchu: a, e, o, and u. And so then it just becomes, well, frock, and I use this portion here because it's frequency of occurrence. So it's frock, freck, freak, froke, and frook, for always, usually, sometimes, rarely, and never. I promise you it's far greater to remember, far easier to remember words like this than it is to remember them one word at a time. And it might feel a little simplistic, and it does to me. It's like, oh no, this is really kind of simplistic and like kind of a little bit dumb, but it turns out it's super effective. The amount of vocabulary that I already remember after 2 months is unbelievable because of this type of categorization. And when I do nouns, I categorize them 6, 5, 6, 9 words at a time into groups, and it makes it really easy to learn. So that kind of gives you an idea. In fact, let's see what this says down here. It says kwai, na is you. So actually there's a woman in here in the story. It goes yanatasa. Yanatasa is her name, but that really just means the pronouns I, you, he, and she. Yanatasa. So this says why you always did go, because that's the past, there's that tense marker, Dichu, in Zhongguo. Zhongguo is the name for China. I use all the same names that would be used in the respective countries. So why did you always go to China? And so it's very simple. So the first book is about 110 pages. The next book's a little bit longer. And I'm just trying to get the word out because I promise you it's super simple. I mean, most people, when I tell them this, are going to go, that is completely crazy, Mark. There is no way that you can start speaking a language in 4 to 7 weeks when it takes most people 5 to 10 years. But I'm not kidding you. It's a breakthrough, and I know that I've hit it out of the ballpark. But now I got to get the word out. All right, and so that's what this is all about. All right, well, that's just kind of an introduction for now, and I thank you kindly for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.